Hi everyone. Hopefully, if I've set this up right, I should be streaming and I should be live and everybody should be able to hear me. Hopefully that's the case. Hi Aziz and Joe and Ian, Francisco, Kate, how are you? I'm hoping you can see me. The reason I'm doing it this way is because apparently it's going to take a hell of a lot less computer power, which means obviously a faster frame rate and less stuttering, which I think was what was causing the stuttering last week. And Francisco's just said he can hear me well. Hi everyone. Hi from Canada, says Tommy. Hi Tommy. Enjoy the weed, mate, the legal weed, you lucky git. Aziz says, any comments on this, Gordon? Abby Martin pointed out how some in the Democratic Party are publicly saying they miss George Bush, the war's criminal, yet they have no such affection for Ralph Nader. It was brilliant, that was. It was a really good analogy. You know, they hated Ralph Nader still, and he was the progressive. They hated the progressive, but they'll welcome the war criminal with open arms and partner in crime of Michelle Obama, as they say. Thanks, Nikki. Thank you very much. You have to go directly to your homepage to watch this. It is not advertised on YouTube. Really? YouTube messing about with us again. Hi from Cheshire. Hi, Wayne. Well, this is amazing because it's all, literally everything is there. Everything. I'm absolutely blown away with this Streamlabs thing. So there's a link for Streamlabs if anybody wants to send donations through that. You can send it through PayPal and through Super Chat as well. Excellent. I want to get to a couple of things. I haven't had chance to do a story as I normally do, so it'll just be like a Q&A, but I have got a couple of things lined up for you. I might as well start in a bit. Save for Jill Stein, so M-A-U-S, M from Australia, I'm going to call you. I said, it's very true. Jill Stein's the enemy. Who'd have thunk it? Was advertised on your YouTube, says Bella. That's good. That's good. And thank you for that, Thomas. So we all know about the Khashoggi incident that I've been covering, and seeing, you know, the fallout. And I've said it's going to be interesting to see how they just deny this, how they just totally make out that this is not a big deal. Well, when it first happened, this now deleted tweet from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry, steadfast and glorious, demise is the outcome of these weak endeavours. That was the first tweet they sent out when the allegations of them killing Khashoggi came out. So it's been really interesting, I've seen as well, how the media have changed the way they're wording and the way they're describing Saudi Arabia. Let me explain. I've said many times that one of the best ways the press, or one of the ways the press propagandize the public, is with their words and their framing about certain people and certain countries. For instance, I've said this before, in Syria, it's the regime of Assad. He's a brutal dictator and it's a regime and he must be stopped. Whereas Kingdom Arabia, it's a kingdom, Saudi Arabia is, and there's a prince and it's all wonderful. And I say, well, it's only a regime, isn't it, when it comes to Syria, which is a democracy, and Saudi Arabia being a theist dictatorship, you call that a kingdom. Well, look there. This is, I noticed in the Washington Post, I've highlighted it down there. They started calling it the regime. That's the first time I've seen the Washington Post or any mainstream outlet start calling Saudi Arabia a regime. They don't usually. It's usually the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And Trump responds to that. Trump responds to all this by pulling out of a nuclear deal with Russia, which has been there, I think, since 1988. Since Ronald Reagan, if it's the nuclear deal I'm thinking of. So that's the way he responded. And to say that, oh, well, it's a a fist fight, and it's going to be interesting to see how he responds to that. He obviously pulled out of this treaty because John Bolton told him, we have got to be very wary of this man. This man wants war in every single country he can possibly think of. He wants war. The man has never seen a war he doesn't want, and he's never seen a regime he doesn't want changed. He suggested it, Trump does it the next day. And this is how Jim Acosta covered this in the CNN. Obviously, there's deflection here. You can bring out, the nuclear deal and withdraw from the nuclear deal, and that will obviously take things away from Saudi Arabia. And then Trump tweeted something about, voter fraud, trying to deflect the conversation even more. And Jim Acosta caught him deflecting. He said, don't be fooled by the continued demonization of immigrants. Voter fraud in this country is actually very rare. What we should be on the lookout for is Saudi Arabian hedge. Oh, no. Russian meddling. That's what Jim Acosta's worried about through all this. Russian meddling, not voter fraud, not, Saudi Arabia, not selling arms to Saudi Arabia while they, do a proxy genocide in Yemen. No, he's still on the lookout for Russian meddling, is Jim Acosta. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't being sarcastic when he made that tweet. It's absolutely hilarious. CNN's main man. And that's what they're still thinking of. Literally no one believes he was in a fist fight, says Nicky. Nobody. Not a single person. It's, of course, nobody believes that. Nobody. But they're going to sweep it under the table. Well, they're going to try as much as possible to sweep it under the table. It shouldn't have come to this. It shouldn't have come to one journalist. It shouldn't have got this far. And it just shows that when the media do put pressure, they have to answer to the media, but they're just not asking the right questions. The media aren't. You're welcome, Wayne. Thank you for that. Kenneth Marshall says, Bolton scares me, always has done. He should scare us all. He really should. He should scare us all, because that man is an absolute maniac. He's a warmongering, psychopathic sociopath. We should be on the lookout for what that guy thinks and what that guy does next. Kenneth Nopic, I'm assuming the K is silent. The killing of Khashoggi is exactly what Russia is accused of in Salisbury. The only difference is there is no proof of the Salisbury incident, but there is plenty of evidence in this killing. Kenneth, you couldn't have brought up a more salient point, because I've been jotting down. I'm thinking about doing a video, to be honest, about how differently the West have reacted to the alleged poisoning of Sergei Skripal, to the murdering of this journalist, because it was Saudi Arabia. I've been jotting down that it's night and day. Within days, I think within 24, 36 hours, Theresa May had blamed Russia. Blamed them without evidence within 36 hours. Within 5 days, there were 100... I think it was within 5 days, there were over 100 Russian diplomats expelled, and then the Russians expelled diplomats in response to it. So within a week or 10 days or something like that, very quick period, 200 diplomats had been ejected from around the world. There were sanctions on Russia, and Russia had been blamed, and there was all the language from Gavin Williamson saying shut up and go away. It was very hostile towards them. Our governments were. It is now so it's about 19 days since Khashoggi disappeared. Has anything been done? Is anything close to those things being done so far? Anything? No. No diplomats, no sanctions, no talk even. No talk of it. It's if they've done this, and very cautious language, and we'll see, and we've got to wait for the information. It wasn't like that with the Russians. And with regards to this, there's a whole host of evidence. I mean, how long did it take for the Skripal, for the videos of the alleged Skripal poisoners. How long did it take for the CCTV? Was it 8 months, or 6 months, or 7 months, something like that, for those to come out? This came out like the day after. That video footage came out the day after. It really is. It's hilarious the way they act when it's Russia and when they act when it's Saudi Arabia. And which one of those countries, by the way, is the worst? Is the worst perpetrator of human rights violations? Which one of those? It's not Russia. I guarantee you that. Yeah, I will, Katie. It's something I've you know, when I put my video, I write down ideas for videos, and some make the cut and some don't. But that's a video that I think let me just write it down. I will do that. There won't be that many videos because I am going to this week, in the next few days anyway. I have been putting out 3 a week for like the last 10 days. So I had a day off yesterday. By the way, I want to talk to you guys about something I did yesterday. Yeah, I've been doing 3 videos a week, but I really want to get the videos that I've almost got finished done and uploaded. Bellingcat will be tomorrow. I've got the Venezuela one and the climate change one. They're all going to be released as soon as possible. So I'll back off on the videos a little bit until I really want to get those done. But yesterday I had a day off, first one in 10 days, like I say, and I thought I'll relax and watch some TV. So I relaxed and I watched about half of the new series of Making a Murderer. You tell me, any people in the chat. Is that guy innocent? Sorry, scrap that question. Did that guy get a fair trial? Did him and his nephew get a fair trial? And should he get a retrial? That's the question. Forget whether he's innocent or not. Should he get a retrial? The innocent's different question, because for him to be innocent, you have to say, hey, evidence was planted, and that, I think, is the reason why he's not getting a retrial. Because to get a retrial is basically admitting that evidence was planted in that first trial, in that first conviction. That's what I think anyway. Are you suspicious that the Western mainstream media don't go through Khashoggi's past? They are presenting him as a liberal dissident, but article in Truthing paints a history that's more reactionary, says Fizziwig. I haven't gone into his history. I've heard various accusations made about Khashoggi. I'm not interested in that side of things. My side of things is just hammering on the point that we need to stop arming Saudi Arabia and being involved in Yemen. That's where my focus is. With regards to his history, whether he was this, that or the other, and why he was killed and that sort of thing, I've not got into it that much because it's not sort of where my focus is. My focus is just use it as a tool to beat them over the head with, to stop arming Saudi Arabia, because I think that's the most important thing. Hi Lawrence, how you doing? Hi Gordon and gang, he says, I asked Mike Prisoner to have all military go to DC on November the 11th and give Trump his military parade. Yeah. Cheryl Brandon, Tony Blair got his blood money totaling $9 million, his job as a court employee, to clean up and polish their image. Yeah. He's going to go and solve the Middle East crisis still. He still thinks that that's where his aim is. The guy can't differentiate between a neoliberal and a progressive, for God's sake. He doesn't know his arse from his elbow. Mark RL75. United States will not jeopardize a $110 billion arms deal for the sake of a Mockingbird Washington Post journey. They are not going to. He said it again today, Trump did, didn't he? That he's not going to sanction them because of the arms deals, and said they'd lose 600,000 jobs. 600,000 jobs, really? Thank you, Nikki. As is, yeah, I saw this is another story for those that don't know. Australia are thinking about moving their embassy to Jerusalem in Israel. Their embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, or I assume it's in Tel Aviv at the moment. Our idiot Prime Minister says it is. Was thinking about moving the Australian embassy to Israel in Israel to Jerusalem, despite intelligence agencies warning against it. It was a coy plot to win votes, and they still lost. I've heard talk that the British are thinking about doing that as well in the Foreign Commonwealth Office. Craig Murray had had a tip from somebody on the inside, but he couldn't confirm it because it was a tip that he couldn't trust, or rather, he wasn't aware of, and he didn't have the weight of trust behind him. So it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. We know how our government is aligned with Israel. Neil Gardner, I'm fed up of chatting with climate change skeptics. They seriously think 1 billion vehicles and millions of miles of motorways have no environmental impact. It's difficult. I think all you've got to do is just keep, it's frustrating now. It's really frustrating because it is like banging your head up against a brick wall and talking to a flat earther. It really is. I think you've just got to, keep talking about it, and if you get any pushback from people, then you've got to understand that they're not doing it from a principled place or with evidence. It's just a feeling they've got. What are your thoughts? Francisco says, what are your thoughts on an NLRBE? What the frig is an NLRBE? Natural law resource based economy. Not a clue, mate. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. It's above my pay grade at the moment. The Funkadelic fan says, I've been a vegan since 1986. That means I'm better than you lot. You are, Funkadelic. I'm trying to be vegan. I'm not far off. I've just got to stop meat, fish, poultry and dairy now. And if I can stop those 4 things, I'm vegan. So, nearly there. In all seriousness, I have cut down a hell of a lot on my meat consumption. Massively, actually. Let me just show you this as well. You might remember those 800 accounts that Facebook deleted. I said in my stream, I haven't checked, but my feeling is that every single one of those accounts, or the vast majority of those accounts, were actually real people that they took down and not bots. Well, Matt Taibbi has been looking into it. The accounts most recently deleted are not foreign. They're not even really asserting foreign influence. I've only found one with any connection to Russia. Of those 800, he's going through them. It's the call of independent media and independent voices. It's coming. Well, it's here. Christian van der Staat. Cool name, Christian. Says climate skeptics are amazing. I have not paid any for my power bill. I just tell them that I should just keep it up as I need someone to laugh at them when I pass the gas station. It's NLRBE means not going back to the Stone Age. I'll have a look at it. I'll look into it. What's happening in Syria and Yemen? Then now Saudi will change the world. This situation is prophetic, says Rami G. Lee Davenport says, don't claim to be environmentalist if you are not vegan. Ooh. It's a bit exclusionary, isn't it? Methane from daily cows and beef livestock harm the environment more than all the factories and cars and all the forms of transport added together. We definitely have to change. We have to change everything. We have to change fundamental things if we're going to survive past the next 3 or 4 decades. It'll come in the climate change video. We've got to change fundamental things about how we live. Fundamental things about how we live, how we power, where we get power from. It's a massive change that needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. It doesn't need to happen in the next election cycle or 2 or 3 election cycles. It needs to happen now, because if it's 3 election cycles, it's too late. It's too late. Once we go past 2 degrees, we're screwed. We're screwed. 2 degrees. They're saying 2 degrees. They're saying is at the moment the best case scenario, and that's disastrous. Best case scenario by this century, by the end of this century, and that's disastrous. You know, you're talking massive areas of land that are underwater. I heard a statistic the other day that if the ice sheets melt, once the ice sheets melt, the water level will be up to the Statue of Liberty's elbow. We can't let it go that far. We can't let it go over 2 degrees, because once you go over 2 degrees, we're in danger now of runaway climate change. Runaway climate change, where the ice is melted and that releases methane, and it becomes an exponential problem then, and it's just, you can't stop it. This is a serious problem. And this is not scaremongering by scientists that are being paid by some people to push a political agenda that, like, some leaders will have you believe. This is a serious problem, and this is not going to be good for your children and your grandchildren for sure, if leaders of the world don't actually get together and do something about it, and do something properly. Do something that will actually make a difference rather than just incremental change. The time for incremental change is gone. That was 20 years ago, and we've done next to bugger all. Don't worry about global warming, guys, says Katie Geek. Our leaders are dealing with it. They are doing their very best to give us a wonderful nuclear winter to reverse it. Yeah. I saw this, by the way, the other day. I think Rachel Swindon on Twitter tweeted this out. You know, all the attacks the Daily Telegraph have made on Corbyn, just take from this year. They've called him, so far they've called him a Russian spy, they've called him anti-Semitic, they've called him a Czech spy, they've called him communist. You know, they're getting lazy now. This was one of the headlines. They've run out of things to call him, so now they're just calling him thick. They're just saying, oh, he's too thick to be Prime Minister now. I've just run out of things to say about him. I found that really funny. Oh, and there was this as well in the last week. You see, I'm just going through all stuff that I haven't had a chance to do videos on. You might have seen this. I think this was, if I remember right, this was some football thugs. The UCLDA or something like that. You know, the worrying thing about this picture for me? The worrying thing about this picture for me is those policemen there who are surrounding them. They're not surrounding them for the safety of other people. They're surrounding them for their own safety. Just think about that. All of those police there are actually there protecting these people. They're protecting them. Tax dollars at work. Many on the ideological left dislike climate change because it might mean there are limits to growth, i.e. might mean hundreds of millions dying in the event of techno-apocalypse, says Neil Gardner. Climate change is the #1 issue in the world. There's nothing bigger. It's the #1 issue. And we're still fighting over oil. We're still fighting over, pretty much all the wars in the world. That's what it comes down to. Pretty much all the conflicts in the world. I mean, you look at Venezuela. That's what it all comes down to. Venezuela comes down to oil. Syria, oil. Iran, it all comes down to oil and the control of resources. It all does. Saudi Arabia, you look at Saudi Arabia. It all comes down to, in that case, it's oil and weapons contracts. But you can see what I mean. It all comes down to oil, and everything strategically that these nations do comes down to oil. I've been researching the Rohingya crisis yesterday. I started researching it, started reading up about it, just spent a few hours just trying to get to the bottom of it. And I'll go through this in a video because I've actually arranged somebody to talk to me about it, especially with regards to the legal aspects of it. But even Rohingya, even what's happening in Rohingya, it's because of this. It's because of that. It's because of two pipelines. One's oil, one's gas. The oil pipe. They found a massive amount of natural gas in the Bay of Bengal, which is just off the coast of Myanmar. Myanmar, by the way, used to be a British colony called Burma. Myanmar got independence in 1948, coincidentally the same year as the Palestinian Nakba, where 700,000 Arab refugees fled. And this latest genocide in Myanmar, 700,000 Arab Myanmar refugees have fled, ironically enough. But yeah, it's all about, there's the natural gas pipeline in the sea where that big they found that massive amount of resources, and the oil pipeline goes through to the north through India and to get oil from Africa and the Middle East. And obviously the country that benefits from that is this one up here, China. Now the reason I've got this is because here down here is the opening to the South China Sea, and you'll all know, probably you've heard, talks about the battles in the South China, the battle for territory. So in the South China Sea, China are being accused of making islands there at the moment. The reason they're doing that is because 80% of their oil is actually imported through the South China Sea. Those two pipelines will stop that, and obviously it's a massive strategic importance to the Americans. You have to understand these things before you even look at the crisis, before you even look at what's happened there. And once I only touched on what's happened in the last few years there, and it didn't take me long before I came across reports of exported Saudi Arabian Wahhabi terrorists. So yeah, expect a few videos on Myanmar in the next week. There is somebody who I say knows a lot about the legal aspects of genocide and human rights, so we can go back and more in depth in that in the week. Thomas Rittenhouse, multi-billionaire will survive the collapse, but the bottom 90% that don't protect the ruling class are dead. It's true. It's true. Climate change comes, the rich people, they'll be fine. For a while anyway, until it gets them all. Mick Hills, keep up the great work on climate change. Looking forward to see your video. It's something that's of real importance, and it's also a video I've got a lot of information from a lot of different places. I'm trying to collate it all and put it in the right order. It's a bit of a... I don't do many videos like that anymore. I do them all through OBS, but I need to piece this one together in my other software, and it takes time. Gordon, stop being a conspiracy theorist, says M from Australia. It's amazing, you know. I only said in that video, I said, it was the last video I did about on Nish Kumar. I just flippantly, I was smirking at the camera when I said it. I said, oh, 15, was it? Saudi Arabians like the number 15, wasn't it? 15 hijackers, 15 of the 19 hijackers. I just said that flippantly, you know, just jokingly. The amount of comments I got, oh my God, I can't believe he's following the official line with 9/11. I can't believe he doesn't read. Jeez, calm down, you know. I was sarcastic when I was saying it. People don't get sarcasm half the time. M from Australia. Pilger is a god among journalists, says Sean Calder. He is. He's a bit of a hero of mine, is John Pilger. Rizwan Ahmed. Hi, Rizwan. If only the people who are awake enough could stop allowing themselves to be divided by the elites, we might have a chance to defeat them. That sounds like something that's on a meme. Excellent. If only the people who are awake enough could stop allowing themselves to be divided by the elites, we might have a chance to defeat them. That's a good quote, that is, Rizwan. Building 7, he follows that up with. Yes, I've heard all about Building 7. I've heard all about it. I'm keeping it out of mind. Has anybody commented on Making the Murderer? Has anybody seen it? Like I say, I'm about halfway through the second series. I might watch another one tonight. It's so good. But there's no way that those two people had a fair trial. There's just no way. JT Zuni, it would be funny if everyone gave up their dollar. Then we would see its true worth, and that is nothing. It is nothing. It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing. It's a piece of paper. It's like bonds, and it's like shares in the stock market. They're just pieces of paper that are worthless, that somebody else might buy off you one day. That's it. Sean Calder brings up an interesting point there. I believe the elite plan is to reduce the global population through famine, disease and war, and then do something about climate change. That's an interesting point. I've heard that many times. It's something that I've, thought of as well. Maybe they're doing this on purpose because it's an existential threat. It is they're not really doing anything, but maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan is they know that, in 10, 20 years, there's going to be mass migration and they're just gearing up for it. So it's an interesting theory. It really is when you start looking at what's going on in the world. So it's a good point that was, Sean. Neil Gardner says, Gordon, I don't watch TV to save myself from having to pay the TV. I don't watch TV either. I don't actually have one to save myself having to pay the TV license fee. But you only have to pay a license fee if you watch live or watch iPlayer. Watch TV live. I don't watch TV live. Brandon Cartonati says, Gordon, what do you think of links China, Russia and Israel? The Bilton Road project. Oh, you mean Belt and Road, not Bilton. This all ties in with, Trump pulling out from the Iran from the nuclear deal. It all ties in. It ties in with these trade wars that are going on. This is all to do with the Belt and Road project, because if China get that, basically, if China can get that, there's pretty much no countries that, you'll be able to get around sanctions. These countries will be able to get, that's my reading of it, these countries will be able to get through around economic sanctions from the West. That's one way of looking at it. So the Belt and Road project is definitely in there, without a doubt. It's all just one road that links all, one road and one sea route that links all those countries sort of in Europe and Asia, and obviously the Middle East and Africa and yada yada. So this is something that is strategically not going to make America and the West very happy. It's only going to strengthen Russia. It's only going to strengthen China. It's only going to strengthen the countries, if my theory is correct, and it is a way to get around economic sanctions. It's only going to strengthen countries that that America and the West don't like, and weaken America's influence. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. Hope that answers your question. No TV here, says Flower Power. Good on you. Good on you. Waive the rules. I use my TV to watch Gordon. Oh, I horror the thought of me on a big screen. Ask. Hi Gordon, what are your thoughts on 432 Hz and the BBC switching to broadcasting at 440 Hz in around the 40s, 50s? I didn't know that. I didn't know what's the I don't know what the difference is. I hadn't heard of it. Somebody said they only have TV to watch Hollyoaks. I have been commenting on debunking 9/11 videos and have been astounded by the number of JT, Rig, NSA and Mossad paid trolls who keep attacking me, says Rizwan. I tell you, there are Israeli paid trolls out there, I guarantee you. I saw this the other day in my settings. I was going through and I noticed one of my videos on Jeremy Corbyn where I lay into Israeli foreign policy and what they're doing against Palestine. I did a video. It was going back 2 or 3 months. This video was. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. And all of a sudden, it had like 10 comments in an hour, all negative. All negative. The comments. Nobody had commented on it for quite a while. And then all of a sudden, I had 10 comments in an hour from 10 different people. And there was only one play of the video in that time. One play, 10 comments from 10 different people. So you know that those are trolls that are coming and commenting and have been told what to comment. You know it is. Because otherwise, how can you have one play but 10 comments from 10 different people in an hour? They were literally one after the other. So they are out there. I've seen pictures of them anyway. Oh, BBC messed with the minds of a whole generation of kids who wanted Jim to fix it for them, says Flower Power. That's something that I know a lot of people around me were extremely pissed off about. They must have known something was going on with Jim or Fix It. They really must have. So, same as the people at those hospitals as well. There were cases where he'd turn up at the hospital and the nurses would tell the little girls who were in bed, just pretend you're asleep. Just pretend you're asleep. That's what the nurses used to say to the kids, say to the little girls and boys when Jim will Fix It, when Jimmy Savile turned up at Leeds Hospital and to go around the wards. He had his own office there. He had his own office. And the nurses used to tell the children, pretend you're asleep. So if the nurses knew, you can, John Lydon said it, didn't he? On BBC. He said it about Jimmy Savile, and they never allowed him back on there. He was never allowed back on. And they hid the recording for decades. It's only just come out. John Lydon said about Jimmy Savile all those years ago in the late 70s. So if he knew back then, the BBC knew. That's where your license fee money's going. I watch RT on YouTube, says Nikki, and so do I. RT is definitely... You remember that video I did? RT UK. It's the best one over here. RT America in America, RT UK over here. You know, well, which other news station has George Galloway on? A lot of hate for Jimmy Savile here. Keep it up. Maybe Alex Jones was right about the elites wanting to wipe out the bottom 90%, says Chicken. Maybe he's onto something. That guy's so crazy, he'll come up with so many, he's so crazy and he'll come up with so many theories that, it's like throwing crap at a wall. Something's going to stick. Just law of averages says he's going to be right some of the time. Amy Matura said, hi Amy. She says, I watched RT2, but I can't watch the segments with Scotty Neal Hughes. I watched her live for Trump on CNN every day on the office television, and I just can't. Scotty Neal Hughes, why does that ring a bell? Is she the one who's debating Carl Klinsky at Politicon? Was it today? Or was that somebody else? She the tall lady with blonde hair. I don't know much about her. A lot of hate for Jimmy Savile. Wow. Lot of hate for Jimmy Savile. Keep it coming. Chris Hedges has a show on RT. Yes, he does. Chris Hedges on Contact RT. Very good. Very good. There's a few shows on RT which are better than anything you'll find on cable media. Watching the Hawks is really good. He's really good. And then there's obviously Redacted Tonight, which is I love. And on Contact as well with Chris Hedges. I was watching it the other day and what's his face was on? Forgotten his name now. Larry King? I was watching Larry King on RT. No, that was Alan Coulter, says Lawrence Taylor. No, he was meant to, if you're talking about who was meant to debate Kyle, Ann Coulter was all set up to debate Kyle, but she pulled out. She pulled out, and then in a TV interview said that there's no liberals of any stature who are brave enough to debate her. She pulled out because Carl was going to obliterate her. And he ended up. I think it was Scotty Neal Hughes. It was some right winger that he's ended up debating anyway. I don't like debates anyway. I don't think they solve anything. Yeah, Christian. Throwing shit at a wall, something's bound to stick there. It's a British expression, that is, mate. We have a few. The world according to Jesse, says Marilyn. Yes, that's very good as well. The world. Stay vigilant. You know what, Nikki? Nikki's just said, I was really young when Jim Will Fix It was on, but the segments with him were really creepy to me. My mom was exactly the same. All along, throughout my childhood, my mom was like, there's something not right with him. Don't like him, there's something not right with him. She screamed, I told you so, when it came out what he did. Richard Wolf says, Dib thought, yeah, he's on RT a lot as well. Navo Boat Trev asks a good question. Gordon, do you think Trump will get a second term? It is very possible. It depends on who the Democrats put up. It really does. If it's Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard or progressive like that, they'll win. They will win against Trump. They will win. I'm sure of it. But if it's anybody else, he'll get a second term. I'm warning them. If they put up a Joe Biden or Cory Booker or even Elizabeth Warren, which people are saying, oh, they'll run Elizabeth Warren to split the progressive vote, and then they'll give the nomination to Joe Biden. in the in when superdelegates can vote in the second round. If it's somebody like Bernie or Tulsi makes a run, then they'll win. But if it's anybody else in the Democratic Party, they will lose, and Trump will get a second term. And I've said that all along. And they will try and cheat Bernie, without a doubt. The Democrats will. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't just cheat him. They stop him from running altogether by saying he's not a Democrat in good standing. And that's up to Tom Perez, remember? It's not some sort of, vote that happens and democracy happens. It's up to Tom Perez. It's up to the DNC. There's no vote on it. There's no board. It's just up to them. They can say, no. Why else would they write that rule? So, yeah, now about Trev. He could get a second term. He really could. Rizwan Ahmed, lots of amazing stuff from Jimmy Dore and James Corbett. He's spot on too. I've seen some stuff James Corbett did on the White Helmets. I got a lot of good information from him. Lee Camp is also an RT. Yeah, redacted tonight, Beth. Thanks, Neil. Thanks very much, Neil. Neil Gardner says, Gordon, would you support the EU's new campaign against fake news? Sorry, let me read this properly. Would you support the EU's new campaign against fake news, as defined by their new fact-checking department, to combat populism? No. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to support any campaign against fake news anywhere. The EU, and they're all in it together. It's all designed. All of it is designed to silence dissenting voices. Even the EU's rule. They brought in that rule, didn't they, that they said was going to stop memes. Even that, I think, is designed to stop independent media in a way. It's coming. It's happening right now. At any day, I'm expecting to wake up, to log into YouTube, and for it to say your account has been deactivated, or Twitter. Every day I'm expecting one of them to go. Every single day. And when it happens, I've just got to hope that I've amassed enough of an audience to be able to carry on, because I'm barely surviving at the moment. But if YouTube goes away, then that is going to make things extremely difficult. But I don't support any censorship now. I'm hoping I read your question. I interpreted your question right. Would you support the EU's new campaign against fake news as defined by their new fact-checking department to combat populism? Yeah. Would you support... You're right in saying it's to combat populism. You really would. Which is one of the reasons why... another argument that was made this week in my comments I noticed about Jeremy Corbyn was that they were saying that Jeremy Corbyn wants to stay in the EU as well. You've got to read between the lines, man. It's the Tories that want to stop in. It's all back to front and upside down and inside out the wrong way round. Remember, Theresa May is the one who's pretending that she wants to leave when she wants to stay, and Jeremy Corbyn is the one pretending he wants to stay when he really wants to leave, because socialism is not going to go down well in the EU. They do not like socialism at all. They like capitalism. They like far-right governments. They don't like left-leaning governments. They just don't. Creepy Joe Biden. Oh, Kronos, I'm with you. He's creepy. Yeah, I agree with you, Rizwan. Rizwan says this. It's brilliant to see so many people on here who don't just swallow the bullshit propaganda. It is not. It's getting more as well. More and more people. More and more people are wising up. More and more people are starting to see, hold on a minute, we're living in extremely worrying and messed up times. Something needs to happen about it, and I'm not getting told the truth. So more people are waking up. Lawrence Tyler says, Tulsi would be a good choice now. I don't believe in the electoral system. That's who I will support. I said a year ago that if Tulsi Gabbard was elected in 2020, the rest of the world would immediately forgive America for Donald Trump. Nothing's changed my mind since then, and my love for Bernie has waned somewhat. Don't get me wrong, Bernie is still the best option. One of the best options. He's certainly better than any of the other main the other main major people that have been mentioned for 2020. But again, it's too far out. And by the way, I'll say this now: do not rule out Hillary Clinton from running again in 2020. Just don't. She's going on this tour with Bill, and it finishes in March, and it finishes right around the time that people start announcing runs. We'll start announcing runs for 2020. Right around that time, that's when her tour finishes. Don't rule it out. Do not rule it out. That woman, if she lived to be 180, she wouldn't rule herself out of an election in America. She really wouldn't. It's really cool. This system's really cool. It doesn't jump or anything either. You know how before it always jumps down to the bottom. It doesn't jump with this. It's excellent. Definitely. To all those streamers out there who aren't using it yet, I think this is it called Streamlabs. I think you'll be impressed. People are starting to puke in the chat because I said Hillary Clinton was going to win again. She's gonna. Don't rule it out. Don't rule it out. Wave the Rule says the deep state will have threatened Bernie's family. It's just curious how he's just changed the way he's changed his whole view on politics in America and how to actually fix the problems. He's changed his whole view in the last 2 years. He's changed it all. 30 years he was saying one thing, and now he's doing exactly the opposite. There's something wrong. Oh dear, Cheryl. I was recently banned for Cheryl Brandon. I was recently banned for 30 days, I assume, on Facebook because I offended the Facebook Corporation community. They acted judge, jury, executioner. I refused to drink Facebook Kool-Aid. I tell you what, I used to go on Facebook, and you come off and you feel terrible, especially in the political groups, because there are so many dumbasses. It really is unreal. Dumbasses just swallowing stuff that's blatantly fake, and blaming third-party voters still. And not only that, you'll join one group, and if you say something negative about Bernie, they'll kick you out. It's just, but even if it's true, it's like, hold on a minute, let's have a conversation. Now they'll kick you out. And then you got Facebook, harvesting all your details. Since I've quit Facebook back in, I think, March this year, I haven't missed it once. Not once have I thought, need to go on Facebook. How old is Zuckerberg? He just did a 50-state tour and has been hiring political consultants, says Keith Durant. I think he's about 40, isn't he? Are you asking if he's over 35, is he going to run in 2020? Is that what you... I think he's a bit older than that. I think he's a bit... Yeah. Oh, he's 34. He's 34, so he'll be 36 in 2020. Have you seen Narrowboat Trev? Hi, Narrowboat Trev again. Have you seen YouTube Premiere, Gordon? You can have it recorded video live chat, but only for the first time your video is aired. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the feature for the Bellingcat video, for the Venezuela video, and for the climate change video I've got coming up this week. And I promise that will be done. That's going to be my priority. I can't keep putting them back just to get other videos out. So I'm going to get those done this week. Yeah, I'm going to take advantage of the premiere and watch them with you. Covert White Rabbit pulled the Facebook needle out of my arm 3 years ago when we saw them harvesting in real time. I don't miss it, but I'm considered a bit of an oddity. I think once you do unplug from it, you don't miss it at all. Like I say, it used to make me miserable going on there. It really did. It used to make me miserable. And people are always putting the best version of their own life on there. They never put what their life is actually like. I like Twitter. You can just vomit what you want in 280 characters and bugger off. Hi Nikki, would you consider doing a video on the left argument for Brexit? Ooh, so many people support Corbyn, but and the People's March yesterday, I think it's because they haven't about Lexit. Right, okay. What did I say, guys? What have I said all along, by the way? Nikki's brought up the People's March yesterday. Is it 670,000 people demanding told her all along second referendum was inevitable. Even before the result of the first referendum, I said there will be another referendum. All along, it's coming. Promise you. Lawrence Taylor Gordon, if you have climate change, there is a Blue Sea event for the next 9 months. Alright, I'll finish that video. It'll be in a few days. I know Bellingcat's almost done, so that'll come tomorrow. That place, man. Bellingcat, White Helmets, DFR Labs. They're all propaganda constructs, all of them. They're all propaganda constructs to try and control the narrative. You'll see tomorrow. You'll see how the people in the media, even people in broadcast media, who are asked directly, who found out where these passports of the Skripal, suspects, who found them? The answer is just Bellingcat. And when the question was, "What's Bellingcat?" they said a website, and that's it. That's the extent of the conversation on BBC about Bellingcat. That's it. I'll show you it in the video tomorrow. I do not want people knowing where they're getting funding and where they're getting directions and their information from, because as soon as they know that, the cat's out the bag, and they know, oh, well, it might as well just come from the government, and I don't believe anything the fucking government's got to say, so they lose credibility. What do you Nikki says, what do you think of the Tory MPs commenting in the Sunday papers that May needs to die by a knife or hanging and she should bring her own noose? Yeah, they've said that she's got this meeting at the 22 Commission, is it they call it, on Wednesday, and they've said she's got to bring her own noose because they're going to kick her out. I don't think they will. It's Tories. They're always Tory rebels. They're never rebels. They're rarely, because a rebel is when you actually follow through with what you say. When it comes time to vote, they all fall in line. They're like the friggin' Republicans back in America. We'll see. I'm not holding out too many hopes for her. She needs to go. That's for sure. We must have a second referendum, say Lee Davenport. I wouldn't know about must, mate. I'd support a second referendum if Remain wasn't on the ballot and the referendum was just what type of Brexit. Are we going to have a Canada, or are we going to have a Norway, or we're going to have a no deal? I could support that referendum. But they're going to put Leave on it because that was the idea all along. They're going to put Remain on it. There's a Twitter alternative mentioned by George Galloway, but I can't remember the name. Anyone know what it is? Inrupt. Is it that? Inrupt. I think they're trying to use Inrupt. Inrupt are trying to set up, I believe, a decentralized platform. I looked into it and it looks really, really curious. So I don't think it's launched yet. I think they're, doing it. But it looks really interesting. So we'll see. I've tried various. I went on Steam it, but there's just not enough people on there. It just isn't. 1922 committee said Funkadelic thank you. I knew it was something 22 select committee. I was more concerned about the violent language than anything else we made. 1922 committee. Yeah, I understand, Nikki. I'm not bothered by that. I'm not bothered. I don't get the hair on my back doesn't go up like it does with certain people on the left with regards to the language. I don't get outraged by language. I just don't. People could be saying, oh, they want to kill Jeremy Corbyn and whatever, and I'd react the same way. It's just like, you might remember Boris Johnson saying, comparing Muslims to letterboxes. So the title was, I read it, and it's like, well, he's using a simile there. Often people are outraged about language when actually, if you read or listen to the words exactly verbatim, they make sense and they're not, offensive. But people take offence because they like getting offended about things. So I'm not too bothered about them saying they're going to hang her and whatever, because I wouldn't be if it was from the other side. It's not the right thing to do, obviously, but I don't get my panties in a bunch about it. There's a Twitter alternative called Just Inform, says Beth. I've seen it. They're just not. It needs a decentralised platform for them all. It really does. If it's got to be decentralised, it's got to be decentralised. Somebody will do it. Somebody will do it. There will be a new incarnation of social media, and it will be decentralised out of government hands. Somebody will do it. And then Facebook, Twitter, a lot of them are screwed. What is the difference between your Green Party and Labour, says Stephanie Sutherland. Hi, Stephanie. What is the difference between your Green Party and Labour? About 160 seats. The Green Party have a really... I looked at their platform a few years ago because I was going to vote Green in 2015, I think this is going back to. I was going to vote Green, but in the end I wrote in Jeremy Clarkson. I support the Greens, but their platform is... See, when you read the Labour Party platform, it's about really the policies there will really affect people's lives in a good way. When I read the Green Party platform back then, it was, I mean, they were talking about plastic bags, if I remember right, and putting a charge, and that came in, so that was good. But that was, it's one of the big things in their platform. It's tiny little things like that. The Greens just don't get as much support really as they should do in this country. They really shouldn't, especially over the decades, especially during the Tony Blair years. And I don't know why, because they have got really. I mean, Caroline Lucas is an excellent politician. Really, she's excellent. She really is. I've got nothing bad to say about her at all. I think. I don't know what it is with them, whether they're just not organised. But I think that's the problem in America, that they're not organised. And maybe that's the case over here, but their platform just seems, well, it did. I haven't read it in the last few years since, but to me it was too. There's nothing there that's exciting, You can't, I'll look into it. Maybe they're not organised like they're like in America. I know that's the problem in America. Sean Calder, I'm going to have to go through George Galloway's talk radio programs to find it. George was certainly interested in it. Yeah, and let me know. Let me know what it is. It could have been Inrupt. Could have been. You could use blockchain technology for the new social media platform, says Wayne. You could also use it for voting. You know, secure, unriggable. But hey, that's none of my business. Caroline Lucas is a career politician. Yeah, she is, Lou. Totally. I think she's good, though. I think she's good. She's one of the better politicians, that's for sure. Nah, she's not a fake environmentalist, Lou. You've got wrong there. She's proper, a real environmentalist. Caroline Lucas is. Covert White Rabbit, Inrupt. Abby Martin is promoting it for decentralized social media. I've seen a few people. There's a few people, and I looked into it. Like I say, I don't think it's launched yet. I filled out the form to be informed of anything further, so we'll see what happens with it. But in principle, decentralizing it and taking our means of sharing our voice in the world and putting it on a decentralized platform with which, you know, these large tech companies with all their power can't reach and can't affect, would be excellent. It would be really, really excellent. We'll see. Some smart bloke will figure out a way, or lady will figure out a way forward, and some rich person will bankroll it. It will happen. Facebook and Twitter are just doing too much at the moment. They're just deleting people who've never broken a rule, never broken any terms and conditions. The editor-in-chief, I think her name was, if I remember right, her name was Carey something. She was on RT doing an interview with Lee Camp, and when they deleted Anti-Media, they deleted her account as well, and they deleted the accounts of the people who were sort of on the editorial board there. But they didn't delete the reporters and the people who wrote for it, just the platform itself and the people who ran it. And Twitter deleted her accounts and their accounts as well in conjunction. No warning, nothing. Hadn't broken rules, nothing. Just deleted them. Real people's accounts. Why? Because they ran something that wasn't accused of being fake news, because it's not. Anti-Media had strict editorial standards from what I can gather. But they just deleted the whole thing. Deleted it. And people on the right, people on the left are, yeah. What? They're actually applauding it, you know. What are you applauding it? Oh, fake news. Don't you see what's happening? Don't you see what's happening? You know, and Iran's around the corner. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Katie. You don't have to be a vegan to be an environmentalist. I'm a vegan, but come on. Exactly. I'm an environmentalist. Just because I like steak, that doesn't mean I'm not. It's not like I'm eating one every second of the day. Did you see that the true legacy of Christopher Columbus, Western civilization, George Monbiot, was deleted? Yes, I did, Sean. I think I did a video about this. I think I mentioned it in one of my videos. I sent a tweet out about it. Even Guardian editors, even Guardian writers are not immune to Facebook fascist censorship. All he did was a video that accurately depicted Christopher Columbus and accurately depicted some of the crimes that the British Empire committed in Kenya, I think it was. And they took the video down. And he got one of those strikes or bans or whatever. If you're saying anything that is critical of Western history, you're not immune to it. That's it. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. They are stopping anything that is negative towards Western governments. Anything, even historically accurate documentaries, they're stopping it. It wasn't long back that they were calling the Declaration of Independence hate speech on Facebook. Their algorithm. They're doing it on purpose. It must be. They're just deleting people's accounts now. Oh dear. The Atlantic Council determine whether your views are suited to Facebook, says Too Wicked. Yeah, they also determine. They also determine the evidence that Bellingcat releases. It's a big con. Is the West now basically in the same place as USSR was in about 1989? No, the USSR was in a really bad place in 1989 and got a hell of a lot worse straight after it. I can see your point, poor dude. I don't see a bright future for the American empire. I don't see a bright future for it. I really don't. I can see I can see major changes certainly in the next decade. We could see the collapse of it. Some of these comments I'm reading, I'm laughing at them, but I can't read them out. Democracy is dying, by the way. We're moving ever closer to a fascist Orwellian society, says Nick X Score 74. Yeah. It's really worrying. It's really worrying, especially when you look at the human rights violations. It really is fascist. And then you look at the rigged elections. It's a major sign of fascism, that is rigged elections. And you got Debbie Wasserman Schultz is still over there. It's like in Florida. Come on, come on. Oh, I'd like to see those votes, please, and count them. Oh no, we can't do that. You'll have to get a judge to do it. Judge, can you make them count this? Yes, here you are. You've got to show them that. Oh, we destroyed the ballots. Same thing that happened in New York. 200,000, gone missing. It's corrupt. It's fascist. Yes, the UK has habeas corpus. Yes, we do. Gordon, I suggest that you do real research into veganism and the environment. You are clearly uninformed at the moment. No, I'm not, Lee. What makes you think I'm uninformed? I know exactly. I know more than most. I know more than most that we've got to go vegan. I know that we've got to drastically cut our meat consumption. I know the methane and the cows and all the facts and that sort of thing. I know everything that you've said has been true. Why are you saying I'm uninformed just because I like a steak? Besides, you're going to owe me 100 quid in 2022 when there's self-driving cars on the road. I remember my bets, mate. Sean Calder, do you think the US will risk war with Iran with Russia and China as allies and EU refusing to pull out of the Iran deal? Yes. All roads lead to Iran. Everything they are doing, it's Iran. Everything they are doing is Iran. That's always in the back of their mind with American foreign policy. Yes, they will risk war with Iran. Yeah, I know I'm not the only one who was a Funkadelic fan. US war with Iran is definitely going to happen. It's just, you don't need to be I don't think you need to be a clairvoyant to see it. They've wanted it ever since 1979 when the Islamic Revolution happened. And these actions as well with Trump. I mean, first of all, with Trump pulling out of this nuclear deal, who in the world, think about it, who in the world in their right mind would cut a deal with America right now? Just look at the history. It's pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement that the Americans signed, and the Americans were championed, remember? The Americans championed that agreement. They got China to sign on to it, apparently. It was America that pushed that, and then they pulled out of that agreement. Right, okay. Who pulled out of the JCPOA? The Iran nuclear deal. America pulled out of that. So, who were the people that actually violated those two deals? Well, it was America. And then you go back a bit further. Okay, we got the IBM treaty with Russia. Who pulled out of that? America. Okay, so that's three big deals they've pulled out of. And now you're talking this other nuclear deal. And I'm pretty sure that this is the one that they signed in 1988 with Reagan and Gorbachev. I'm pretty sure of it. I haven't, looked into all the details, but it must be that. It must be the medium-range intercontinental ballistic missiles, whatever it was. So this is pulling out of that's four big deals now. Why would you sign a deal with the Americans? All these countries, they upheld their side of the deal, and Americans just say, oh, you violated the deal. They never provide any evidence of it. They said that Iran violated the deal, and that's why they pulled out. And who was the person who gave that evidence? Bibi Netanyahu. With the same evidence he gave back as a reason to bomb Iraq. If I was a nation, leader of a nation, I wouldn't do a deal with Americans. I just wouldn't. Yeah, you've got, Lee, what you've got to understand with the veganism, mate. What you've got to understand with the veganism, I've been guilty of this, is whenever you preach veganism, whenever people preach veganism, it pisses people off because they're preaching veganism. It's something that you're not going to get there. You're not going to shame anybody into stopping eating meat. It's not going to happen. You're just going to piss people off and alienate them. You just got to talk, and the statistics you brought up there with regards to methane being more of a contributor to CO2 levels than all of the transport in the world. That's correct. What you're saying there is correct, and you've got to keep hammering on that. When you start shaming people for eating meat, they start switching off and attacking you back then. Ian Ford, I love that expression. 1984 was a novel, not an instruction manual. I've used that one a few times. Oh, this is going fast. I'm just getting down to the bottom now. I'm going to end this, guys, because I want to be on an hour and 20. So sorry I haven't got any stories lined up for you today, but like I say, I was trying to figure out this Streamlabs. I'm quite impressed I've actually done it, actually. Big Green, plenty of people try to shame me for eating a mostly vegan diet. The shaming goes both ways. You're correct. You are correct. It does go both ways. They're generally idiots, though, on the other side that will shame you for being vegan. I don't. You don't shame people for being vegan, but at the same time, if you're vegan, don't shove it down people's throats, you know, because it'll just piss people off. No more fish to eat, says Marilyn. The Pacific Ocean has been killed by Fukushima. The salmon don't come back this year. The orcas are starving. The starfish are all gone. This will be another byproduct of climate change. You know, overfishing. Just overfishing and climate change. We won't have any. We won't have enough to eat. Take care of your dog, says Lawrence Taylor. Yes, in all circumstances. Right, I'm just getting down to the bottom. Okay, that's it for tonight, guys. I've got to get an early night because tomorrow I want to finish these videos that I've been desperately trying to do for so much time. Thanks for all your support. I know this was a quick one for a Sunday, but like I say, I've got nothing lined up. But there will be plenty of videos over the next few days and plenty of things to talk about, especially new topics that I haven't covered before, such as Rohingya. Thanks very much for your support, everybody, and I shall see you tomorrow. Love you all. Peace.